All right, fantastic. We are back and we are continuing our scene. We are to the part where we're going to be making our cabinets and our built-ins. So this is kind of where we're heading in today's lesson. And then from here, we're going to be adding some more detail. So let's go where we left off on our project. Where we last left off, we had these two-dimensional designs that were laying flat. We moved the pivot points down to this corner and rotated both of them to stand up in this 90-degree kind of corner. Okay. Now, what the goal is with this lesson is we're going to start drawing these as boxes here in our Create tab as standard primitives, and we're going to make them the size, make the shape in a 2D, drag it out to extrude the shapes to using this side view, and then start to slowly build this as a set of cabinets in our workspace. So in order to do this effectively, we need to set a few parameters in our workspace, and we're going to be switching back and forth between our different views here. So get comfortable with your shortcut key. I'll probably click on the buttons here just to walk you through it so you can see, but Alt W is restore viewport, and you can click on which one you want to do again, remember, and Alt W again will zoom in on that viewport. So we're going to be using our perspective view and our front view here. We can zoom in on that one view, but then standard is going to be left side in this view down here in the bottom left. We want to change that to right view, because if we look at our workspace here, and you can imagine yourself standing on this side, as we pull these out, you're going to be looking to the left, but we're standing on the right. So by doing that, this view is going to swing around, okay? And this is the view we want, and this is the view that we have. So that's going to let us see how far we drag these out when we're extruding them, okay? And we're going to work primarily or quite a bit in our perspective view window here. So remember, you can still have your other viewports open, but a lot of it is going to be setting your workspace up and getting comfortable with it and getting the right views and the right zoom and so forth. There's a couple more things that we need to work with when we're working on here, and we're using multiple views all at the same time. Remember, it's only going to let us grab and draw in the window that's highlighted or live. So that's the one that has this kind of brownish colored box around it, at least in my viewport. And we're going to want to have our snap toggle turned on and this angle snap as well. And the hotkeys for that are S and A. What that's going to allow us to do is it's going to allow us to snap to this 2D drawing when we're adding our boxes and our shapes, and be able to use those to set our sizes and parameters. And that's the whole key to this assignment. Now, I could start anywhere in this, but it's going to be easier if I kind of start on the bottom and build out. And I'll show you why here. If I, let me just do this as a demo, and I don't want to have you worry about it too much. If I grab this and drag this over I'm going to go to my Create tab here, select my standard primitives and geometry, and grab a box, okay? Now, if you remember, if I try to grab this and this, okay, it's not working. The way we draw a box is, okay, I click with my left mouse button, I drag it over either on the flat face, or if I'm locked onto a side here, I can drag, let me get out here. I can also lock on and draw up, okay? And then that allows us to drag the space out. But it doesn't really work, because what that's doing is it's saying that my base, which is my XY down here, is flat, and then I just set my Z depth, which is the height. So my space, if I look over here, it's saying that the length of my box on this parameters is 0. Now, if I go in here and I set that to 180, you can see the box shows up there. But when I'm clicking on this to draw my box, let me undo that. What I want to remember is it's best if I draw with my X and Y axis at the same time, and then I set my Z height, if that makes sense. So to do that effectively, I'm going to go over here on my X plane, and I'm going to grab this corner. And then I'm going to drag up and over, not up, but over to this corner and lock on. And that sets my XY. Okay, I'm going to zoom in to make sure that I lock onto this corner here because I have my snaps on. And that's going to set the height, my Z depth. Okay, and we can see we have our length, our width, 55 by 56, and our height of 10. Okay, so when I go to do the next one, I can click on this corner now, go from here over to here. I'm going to zoom in, make sure I like where I grabbed, and then go over to the top of this box. What I'm doing now is I'm building my toe kick, okay, if that makes sense, for underneath the cabinet. Now, if I zoom in on here, actually we can see it over here. The cabinet sticks out a little bit more. This is the area where our feet can go underneath without kicking the front of our cabinet. And this is where the cabinet is. And then these doors over here, this is the door, and this is a handle where you would reach your fingers in and grab to open up the door. So we're going to, first of all, create the boxes, okay? And then we're going to create the drawer fronts as well. So let's just focus on one wall at a time, okay, if that makes sense. And how would I draw this without having that box? There's a couple ways. I could start on this corner, okay. Let me zoom in. Okay, now it's not going to let me grab that because my zoom wasn't set up. So I don't like that. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to maximize my viewport, if that makes sense. So I can get this whole drawing from this corner to here. This is where I want to go, and set that up in one nice sweep. So let me try to get a good view of this whole area. I don't need this corner. I only need, no, I'm going to have to do from this view. So you'll be able to work independently on a lot of this once you get set up and create the rest of these boxes. But here I have it. I can snap to this corner. Let me try this again. I can snap to this corner, drag it out, and now I'm going out to the front here. Okay, I can let go. I'm going to drag this up to the corner here, and it will let me zoom in now because I don't have to continue to press that button. I lock in there, and my shape is set for this cabinet. Now, I don't want this to come where the pantry is over here right now. Well, let's look and see what our finished product is supposed to look like. No, so what I want this to do is I want this to dead end here, and then this box on the other wall is going to be there. In reality, it wouldn't really matter because it's going to blend in. But how would I set that to the distance now that this is set where we have it, and I want to shorten this box? I use this as my point to drag it to know how far out on my, how far down to bring this. That's no big deal. What we want to do now is we're going to switch our views. So let me restore my viewport. I'm going to go into my front view now. And you see this box goes all the way to here, and we want to shorten it to here. So I am going to right click on this box, and maybe it will be easier to see this if I am in my default shaded. I'm going to right click on it and I'm going to convert it to an editable poly, and that's going to allow me to grab this face over here. I'm going to rotate just a little bit so you can see I want to grab this face and shorten it to here. So I'm going to go over to polygon, because once I'm in editable poly, I got my selection tools. I'm going to grab this face tool, number 4, and I'm going to click on this face, and that's highlighted red. Now I can grab my move tool, okay, and I'm going to hover on this red arrow, wait till it's selected, and I can shorten this up, and I still have my magnet on it. It's going to click and go over to this face right there, okay, and that's setting the depth of the cabinet. That allows me to make the shape here for my pantry all in one fellow swoop, or one cabinet by itself. Okay, so that's one way of modeling that. Now we're going to do a lot of repeating with strategy here. We're going to do our countertop now. So let me restore a viewport here, and I'm going to go down and I'm going to grab this is my countertop, and then I have my backsplash. So this is a part we're working on. I'm just going to go back, grab my create tool, make sure I'm in geometry, do a new box. I can click on this top bar, drag this over and down. Now, if I try this, okay, now you can see, let's try this real quick. What happens when we do that? If your shape gets messed up, you have a couple different options here. Okay, we can go in to a different viewport, and we can change our shape by changing it into an editable poly. If the shape is really messed up and there's no redoing it, see, I don't have hardly anything workable in that shape. I'm just going to undo and redo it. Okay. But if it's close, you can change it to an editable poly and just move your face of your box and stuff around. So I'm still in my snap. I grab my box tool. I'm going to click on here. Maybe I'll click on here, bring this down. Okay, there's our cabinet. You can bring it down, you can bring it up, and then I can shorten that. But let me do this at the same time, and maybe I can shorten both at the same time. Let's grab this corner. I'm going to come over to here. And if you look in this left, it shows me that I'm at the right spot for depth. That's perfect. And then I'm going to go down. I can follow what's going on in this right scene. And actually, that's fantastic. So there I have my countertop and my backsplash. Now, while you're working on this, remember, if you don't like anything you see in here, you can go down and you can edit your colors and kind of set everything to your general colors that you like to work with as well, and might make things more pleasant. Some of the colors that it auto assigns are rather ridiculous, but whatever's easiest. So now I can go over here. I can click on these. I can change both of these shapes to editable polys. I did that, selected both with my control, convert to undo, convert to editable poly is what I want. Okay, and then they're editable. I can grab here, editable poly. It's not giving me the tools until I click actually on it, and I can grab my polygon shape here and select one. Well, let me do both at the same time. No, I'm going to have to do them separate. One here, drag it over, and this is where I might use my front view here. Let me set this to actual standard front view. And we want this to end right where we had the other one. I can drag this over right like that, one. And I'm going to do the same thing as well on this shape. So this is also convert to editable poly, grab it in my list under modifier, grab the face, select the end cap, maybe. Huh. If in doubt, try it again. Convert to editable poly. Okay, make sure I select editable poly, go to polygon, select on my end face, and I have the right face selected. I can click on this window now. Nope. No, it doesn't like it. I'm just going to go here and I'll watch on this window to make sure my backsplash ends here. So I can click and it should lock into place right here somewhere. Oh, I still have the wrong face. So it takes a little playing with. I didn't hover long enough on this X axis to bring it, and it locks into place. Perfect. So as you can see, we're starting to take shape. So feel free to do that to the top cabinets. I'm going to continue to work and do kind of the same thing. And we'll finish out just boxing out these cabinets for this one. And then in the next video, what we'll do is we'll go in and do the doors and the handles. So let's get this done. And I'm looking forward to seeing what yours look like. So I might speed this up just a little bit. Let's see how things go in my final video. This one is make sure I grab my create box. Now, if you notice, what we have to do is we have to get a little bit creative for how these look. We want this to go out the same way. Just kind of takes a little bit of thinking and planning. We want these to be flush with the cabinet that we already have. Okay. So it's kind of just wanted to make sure as we're designing this, it makes sense. Because if you do your own standard drawing, anything that you do in this space, you're going to want to make sure that you kind of do the thinking and planning on here. It's not so much a matter of copying somebody else's design, but rather how do you do it? What's the planning involved? I'm going to click here, drag this over to here, and I think we can set the height for this cubby and do this as one whole wall. That might be the easiest, and worry about opening that space up later on, if that makes sense. Okay, I set my cabinet depth there. And then what we'll do is we'll add those doors in our next tutorial. We're going to go in, and if I change this back to wireframe, okay, we're going to add all of these as doors and extrude them out on the surface of our box. Okay, what we can also do then is we can draw this area here and open it up and or add shelves in there. But it doesn't really match with what we have for our space as the final render here. So this is just one line in here. But really, you can make this kitchenette however you'd like. If you want to open this as a modular cube, if you want to put doors all the way on this wall, the space is yours. We're more interested in just giving you the tools how to do it. So I think at that, we're going to call this a video for now. We have our general shape designed. Maybe I'll change the color of this. And then we will come back in the next video and we will work on getting our cupboard doors changed out and adjusting things to make our final workspace look like a kitchenette. So thanks for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in the next one. Until then, work hard to get more done.